is our third year for Say My Name event, and what is powerful is that we have over 300 girls come from 18 different schools, grades 4 through 12, to empower them and to show them that they have a voice and that they could be their authentic selves in any space. It's very important that we have high school students here intermingling with middle school students and elementary students so that they have a goal and they see where they can be and they get excited about graduating.
People to look up to, like student athletes and stuff, and they have a good future for themselves. And that's something I want to have, a good future.
To me, this event is a good way for young girls and older girls like me to come together and see what we all can do as a whole group and team.
What we want to do is break stereotypes for young girls and make sure that, being loud and being joyful isn't seen as a negative, but a positive of expression. And we have safe spaces for them.
Kids from all over our region say, come together, meet the other young kings in the district, learn from one another. We have the Say Your Name event for the girls, and they wanted to find how can we find an event that honors young men in the district and region too as well. Recognizing that we are all young kings, what does that look like? Giving them something to look up to, but then also doing what boys do, finding ways to compete, participating in some virtual reality.
Some people might think to be a king means you have to dominate other people, to be at the highest level, you have power over everyone. But to me, I think a king means you help out, you try the best you can, show effort in everything you do, and lift people up to do better.
To me, what being a king is just being your own person and being a leader.
I think anytime you have an opportunity for them to be celebrated, speakers provide presentations from COSI to the City of Columbus to the Mayor's Office to the Deputy and the Sheriff's Department, and just a number of administrators and people from the community who actually came out to support this event.
ICE Mentors here, which is a partner of Columbus City Prep for Boys, who's coming and talking about character building, male etiquette, how we treat the ladies, right? Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Who calls your roll? Who calls your roll? Who calls your roll?
I think, Paul, don't you call the roll?
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Community Engagement and Advocacy Committee. Today is Tuesday, August 13th. I'm your chair, Michael Cole. So glad that you all are joining us today. Wonderful. Everybody looks awesome. Everybody ready for the new school year?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's first get started by calling this meeting to order, if we can.
Ms. Clay Barnes?
Here.
Mr. Michael Cole?
Present.
Mr. Michael Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Jermaine Kennedy?
Present.
Mrs. Musa? Ramona Reyes? Ms. Megan Stillwagon?
Present.
Christina Vera?
Here.
All right. We have a quorum. All right. So today is going to be a very informative day. Let's first take a look at our calendars. Everybody had an opportunity to see the calendar. Do these dates look like there's something that still are amenable to dates and times? Are we still comfortable with this calendar?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Moving on, today we have two presentations. You're going to get to know a couple of outstanding parts of our organization. Our government and advocacy side, so our government affairs team is here. In addition to that, our community engagement and partnership side as well. Please raise your hand, say hello to everybody here. One of the actual chief of that department, both the communications and Community Engagement and Partnerships. Madam Chief, will you say hello, please?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Latrice Griffin, Chief of Communications and Engagement.
All right, glad to see you here this evening with us. Awesome. All right, with that, let's get started with the Government Affairs overview.
Great. Do we have to see if the presentation is pulled up?
Before we get started, let me do my due diligence. Thank you, Madam President. Let's approve the agenda if we can. Has everyone had an opportunity? Is there a call for?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Awesome. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor by show of hand? Okay. All right, there are no nays. That previous agenda is approved. All right, now moving forward, we'll go on to the Government Affairs overview.
Great. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Beth Hess. I met you all back in May, so it's nice to see you again here at 270. I am our Director of Government Affairs, and behind us, behind the curtain, is Carl Williams. He's our board clerk. He's also a member of our Government Affairs team. And you may know Lydia Wiggins. She supports this work as well, but she is not working this evening with us tonight, but I'm sure you'll get a chance to meet her as well. So we are going to talk government affairs briefly tonight, mostly to set us up for some really robust discussions in September. And that's when we're going to bring to you our legislative platform. So today's kind of just preparation to get there, and I hope that between today and September 10th, if you have any questions about how this process works or the work that we do, please feel free to reach out to me. Okay, so government affairs at CCS, I just introduced our staff. We are a small but mighty team. We also have an external advocacy firm that we work with at the State House during the state operating budget, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the presentation. So here's our mission. Our mission is to influence and collaborate with policymakers, elected officials, community influencers, and business leaders in federal, state, and local governments to align public policy to the goals and guardrails of the Board of Education and the strategic plan for Columbus City Schools. We are working toward becoming a national model of government affairs that delivers on community values in political spaces to positively impact student outcomes. So I think that's really important. We are a government affairs team for a school district. So really it is about community engagement, it's about community voice, and it's truly about increasing student outcomes. The audiences that we work with in government affairs are our Columbus Board of Education, as well as the committees, Columbus City Council, the mayor's office, all of the city departments. We also work at the State House with the General Assembly and state agencies, and even the United States Congress. So we are completely focused, like I said, on student outcomes. And so what you're going to hear from government affairs on our side are things about expanding early learning opportunities, promoting career pathways, enhancing the well-being of students and the community, and innovating teacher pipelines. So you may be wondering, what is advocacy? Or you might be really comfortable in the advocacy space. But simply put, advocacy is an activity by an individual or a group which aims to influence decisions within political, economic, and social systems and institutions. And so you might be involved with advocacy in a really formal sense. Maybe you take part in an advocacy day at the State House, or you have a really specific agenda that you're working with legislators on. But it also can be informal, that you might have a community issue that is personal to you, that you want to make a phone call about. Advocacy to me is really important because it makes your voice heard, it educates decision makers, and often gives them new perspectives than what they may not have had access to in the past, and it gives you a seat at the policymaking table. I think what's great about a school district having advocacy engaged is that it can inspire others and really generate positive change for our community. The worst thing that we can do is just sit back and allow the status quo to continue, and so advocacy is a really important part of the work that we do. I think most importantly, though, in CCS is that we have students leading the way. So I'm an advocate at the State House, but I try my best to never go alone. And so a wonderful young man that I got to bring with me this past year, I wanted to share a little bit about Mario Blount Jr. He's a student at Eastmore Academy, and he is truly a picture of a graduate. He will also be a future barber one day when he graduates. And he provided testimony this past school year in the Senate Government Oversight Committee. And he was advocating on behalf of a barber bill, which would lower, and did lower the age of barber licenses from 18 to 16. So this is now something we can offer in schools. It also changed some of the ways that the barber assessment is handled. And so previously it was really difficult to pass the barber test. And so it changed some of those rules to make it more accessible to our young people who are now eligible to become barbers. So he testified, but not only did he testify, but he met privately with the bill sponsor, with the chair of that committee, and the governor did sign this bill over the summer. So when we think about advocacy, it's always important to think about your why. You guys all, I'm sure, have really important reasons of spending your evening with us today, and just being here makes you an advocate, right? You're here for a reason. You're here to to speak on behalf of the needs of somebody in your community. It might be your family, it might be your neighbors, it might be students that you've served. So it's always important to me to think about, what is your why? Is it that you're here to help families in community? Are you here to improve outcomes for your own children? Maybe you've had a bad experience that you want to overcome for your children. And do you want to support hardworking teachers? So as you advocate and as you enter this space, hopefully hand in hand with our team, here's some supports that we can offer. We can provide advocacy and strategic messaging training. We can help prepare you for legislative meetings if you're interested in meeting with a member of the General Assembly. We can help you with testimony preparation, and really any other opportunities to connect with policymakers. And this offer is not just for you all at the table, right, but really any constituent who is interested in advocating on behalf of public schools, on behalf of education policies that will impact their students. These are the types of things that we're always happy to do. And certainly if you have a student who wants to advocate, we'd love to take them to the State House. So that takes us to Ohio's biennial budget, and this is where we'll pick up in September, in that we're going to be moving a legislative platform through this committee and hopefully seeking your recommendation to take this to the full board for a vote. Oh, okay, my slide is a little silly there, but these are some terms to know for state advocacy. The first is the term General Assembly. You may not have heard that term before, but this is essentially talking about the entire group of legislators at the State House, so both the House of Representatives and the Senate. So when we're talking about the full group of policymakers, we call it the General Assembly. The General Assembly goes on for 2 years. So you'll see when bills are introduced, they start with number 1, and then they go to 600, 700, depending how busy of a General Assembly season we have. And it goes for 2 years. So from January 1st then to December 31st, 2 years following that. Legislators is a collective term for elected officials serving in the General Assembly. And then, of course, we have senators and representatives. So our Senate is a smaller house. It's called the upper chamber, if you will. It's sometimes seen as kind of more elusive to become a part of. And they serve 4-year terms, and there's 33 members. The House of Representatives is sometimes referred to as the House of the People because there's many more members. They seem to be sometimes more in touch with their constituents, and they serve 2-year terms, and there are 99 members. So there's 3 members from each Senate district in the House of Representatives. You may or may not know your state legislator, so I'd encourage you, you do have a copy of this presentation. If you don't know who your legislators are, I'd encourage you to look them up. We have 2 senators in the Central Ohio region, so you probably know your senator, but you may not know who your representative is, so I'd encourage you to look that up and find out, although our members of the General Assembly are really open to talking to all constituents, so you can go to any Central Ohio legislator and they'll speak with you. So Operating Budget 101, the budget is in effect for 2 fiscal years. And so fiscal years are from July 1 through June 30th of the following year. That's the same fiscal year that we follow with the school district as well. The main operating appropriations bill is funding for state agencies, legislature, and the judiciary, and school funding is included in this bill, and it is one of the primary pieces of the legislation. The budget bill focuses primarily on the general revenue fund, so these are taxes, right? These are the collections from in-state, but there's also some federal money in there as well that gets budgeted. So if you're like wondering where does all this money come from in the state, this is kind of generally how the budget is funded. You'll see that it's mostly through taxes, so sales and use tax, personal income tax, other taxes, and federal grants is about a third of it. So the federal grants has been, inching up higher and higher, and I think this year probably included COVID relief funds. So federal grants isn't usually quite so high. And then where does the money go to in the state operating budget? You'll see that the largest funding from the state operating budget is going to Medicaid. That takes about, all of Health and Human Services takes up about 50% of the state's budget. A large portion of that goes to Medicaid. And then the second highest funded area is primary and secondary education. So during the budget, even though they're talking about funding, there's also a lot of education policy that gets put into that bill because it is funding education at such a high level through that funding source. So you'll often hear about education policies coming through at that time as opposed to their own single bill throughout the year. Here's the timeline. So as we get ready for the state operating budget, my work gets real busy in about late fall, and then it doesn't stop at all until June, and then I go on vacation in July. So how this works is from summer to the fall, the state agencies right now are drafting their budget requests. So they're working through the system that Budget and Management puts out, using whatever templates they may have. I believe this year, I forget the exact term that they're using, but they're really looking at impacts of funding. They want to know what has worked and asking the state agencies to provide data to support that. From fall to then early January next year, the governor's office is going to be drafting the executive budget proposal, taking into consideration all of the requests and the data from the state agencies. That will get introduced in the House in about mid to late February. And the House, as a courtesy to the governor, introduces the governor's version of the bill. And then they, tear it up. And they put in what they're seeking. They take out the things that they're not for. And this goes on for several months. They have they have several committees. Under the current leadership in the House, they had several finance subcommittees, which was a new structure, so it'll be interesting to see if that takes place again this next round. But so that goes on for several months. The House then votes out their version of the bill. It heads over to the Senate, and the Senate really rips it up there. And so they come back with their version a few months later. They get done a bit quicker. They only have one finance committee in the Senate, so it doesn't take quite as long. And then the two houses come together for a conference committee where they have to agree on a budget. And so they fight about that in the dark of night for a few weeks. And we all wonder where will they come out. And then they come out with an agreed upon budget bill that they sent to the governor for signature. The governor then can line item veto any item that doesn't have a budget attached to it. So like I said, there's often education policy put into this bill. That's a space where we might be advocating to the governor to line item veto if there's not a budget item attached to it. By July 1st, we should have a budget in place so we can start that next fiscal year. Although this last budget season, while I was on my family vacation, we were still advocating for vetoes because the governor's office was about a week behind. But that's not normal, and hopefully we won't be in the same place next year. So the legislative platform will come to you all for consideration next month. And the reason we do this is that there's an agreement in place between the Board of Education and the Office of the Superintendent to have a legislative platform. And that's really important that there's agreed upon advocacy priorities for the superintendent as well as the Board of Education. Really aligns all of the work and makes sure that we're all working on the same cause, working toward the same outcomes. And this gets revisited every year. So we're excited to bring that forward to you all next month and take it to the full board after that. You have any questions?
If I can just have a
Please.
word, just briefly, before folks get to ask questions. So one thing I want everyone to walk away with, and please take this home, keep it, review it, but what I want you to walk away with outside of this is a sense of your inclusiveness, your inclusion in our advocacy and engagement process. You all are part of it, not just at this table. There's an open door opportunity for you to participate in our visits to the General Assembly, in our visits in a very germane, relevant way to City Council, City Hall. So please understand, we may call on you and tap you for support. We will be on message with what the district is actually trying to advocate for on behalf of 47,000 children and our mission statement and our vision. So please understand, this is not, your participation here, however, very welcome and needed. We also need you in our community spaces when we go to have these conversations with those other decision makers, policy-wise, business-wise, et cetera, okay? The other piece is this too. As you're gonna get the opportunity to review what our legislative platform is, I can personally say for myself, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of my Madam President as well, when I say one of our biggest issues that we want to go to the State House ready and prepared for is the narrative around our funding. We need to sustain or ideally improve the funding that we're getting from the state. And at this point in time, there's a great deal of instability and question around that. I think another issue outside of the funding aspect that impacts every school district or every entity funded by the state is redistricting. So please keep that in mind as a space of advocacy too, and how we'll connect the dots. We'll work together to connect the dots on how that can or can't make sense for us. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Cole. If I can add to that, you know, we're absolutely going to be looking for folks who are interested in coming to the State House, talking with legislators. I think even more importantly, providing testimony to the finance committees in the House and the Senate. When we look at the makeup of our current legislature, we kind of have two issues that we have to overcome every year. One is that we have pretty strict term limits in Ohio. That's fairly new in the history of our state still. And it creates an issue kind of each cycle that there's a lot of re-educating that has to happen, really new educating that has to happen. We have new legislators often, as opposed to in the past where folks, you know, might be in the Senate for 20 to 30 years, right, is their career. So there's a lot of educating to be done, and many of our legislators at this point did not attend public school, nor did they send their children to public schools. And so they really just don't have a perspective on what our needs are, on the amazing work that we do, the scale at which we do that work. Oftentimes when I talk with legislators about having over 100 schools, right, their minds are kind of blown with 47,000 children, right, when their only concept of a school building might be a single K-12 private school site with 500 children. So there's a lot of educating that we have to do, so we always ask folks to bring their perspectives, bring their stories, successes, challenges, all of it, so that people can grow in their own knowledge. And generally, I find that once legislators have that education, they're pretty pro-public education. They just might not have had an introduction to it before.
Any questions, anyone? Oh, awesome. Okay. I've got a smart committee here. They like, oh, we already know this. Like, okay, beautiful. Mrs. Cole, you are up next.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Board Chair Cole, President Vera, and committee members. My name is Lee Cole. I'm the Executive Director of Community Engagement and Partnership, and I oversee the Office of Engagement within the Office of Communications and Engagement. In the Office of Communication, we are bound by our mission, which is truly to serve as the bridge connecting families, communities, and schools with the sole purpose to advance student achievement. We are providing those wraparound supports for our parents and our community to uplift students and uplift student achievement, truly from the inside out. Our vision is to build a community where everyone has equal opportunity, access, and support to realize their greatest potential. We truly believe that for communities to thrive, education is the foundation. And if Columbus is going to continue to be one of the fastest growing cities in the nation and a great place to live, work, educate, and raise a family, education has to be the foundation of that. So in the Office of Engagement, we have authentic engagement. And again, that's providing those wraparound services where we truly look to bring learning to life. Within the packets that you have on your desk is our strategic plan. Those are our mission, our vision, our strategies and tactics, and the methodology and the frameworks that we use to accomplish these goals. So what we do is we align all of our work to the Portrait of a Graduate attributes, which are, we want to make sure that our students are adaptable, are able to communicate, critical thinking skills, global empathy. So what we do is we provide different strategies and tactics to our parents, our community members, our partners, to bring in outside resources to surround and develop the whole child, which then informs and elevates our students. Our methodology that we use is what we have developed in Columbus City Schools. We have a quite robust team. Our Director of Family and Community Engagement, Ceac Bing, our Supervisor of Customer Relations, Stephen Hoffman, and the rest of our crew, we have adapted the Harvard Dual Capacity Framework. The Dual Capacity Framework, it combines schools and community to elevate student achievement. And this butterfly framework, what we have done was bring in our outside resources, so community and small businesses and what we call our 3-tier level of engagement. So those are people who may not necessarily have children in the district, are not direct connection to the district, but they are one of the 950,000 residents that live in the city of Columbus who graciously afford us with their tax dollars. And we want to show them not only their return on investment, but what their contributions to the Columbus City Schools are. So we have adapted that dual capacity framework from Harvard, and one of the leading practitioners of that, Ms. Karen Mapp, and we have created in our office the butterfly dual capacity framework as our methodology that we deploy in our tactics. So how do we align the district's mission, vision, and district goals to Portrait of a Graduate and also to elevate our students? We do that with 4 divisions of engagement, and that is family engagement. Within family engagement, we have 5 regional family engagement coordinators supervised by our director, Mrs. Ceac Bing. We have community engagement, where we have one of our regional family engagement coordinators working as a community engagement coordinator with us. And then we have our coordinator of community engagement and partnerships. We also have our partnership arm and our customer relations arm. All of the information that we gather, all of the events, all of the strategies are housed within these 4 divisions, again, to provide those wraparound supports, working with parents, helping them understand what their students are learning so they can support them at home. We also work with our businesses and our community leaders to also provide from the outside in those supports, again, with the purpose of uplifting students and elevating student achievement. This is one of our multitude of events that we've had, and that is, again, serving as the conduit that brings a learning to life. We truly offer creative and engaging resources to our parents and our families to, again, uplift student achievement. Our customer relations division, works with the superintendent's office. They not only take calls, complaints, compliments, parents that are lost and are in need to connect resources. They are the call center that helps get parents the information they need and to help them connect with the departments and resources that they need to advance their student success. For the past year, last year, they processed over 5,000 calls. The majority of those calls were either related to parent portal, transportation. We have kind of ebbs and flows within that division on the time of year and the types of calls that they receive. Also, we have FactLine. FactLine is our one-stop shop for any and everything that parents need to know. A lot of that is school choice lottery, navigating passwords in parent portal. That is our phenomenal Barb Reed. She is a one-woman show that navigates our FactLine, and she processes about 3,000, one person, 3,000 phone calls, 3,000 emails a year. And she also goes out to Head Start centers to help students enroll into the district and navigate that process as well. Our family engagement, they are truly the bridge. Our family engagement, we have over 120 family ambassadors. Our family ambassadors work within each school. We have one family ambassador per building. Schools that need English as a second language assistance or other special needs have multiple family ambassadors in their buildings. These are some of our signature programs that we have. Last year alone, we had almost 550 events throughout the district. Some of them are regional, some of them just in the buildings, and some district-wide. Our regional family engagement coordinators are the leads in that effort. They take the building data and what the building resources that they need, how that aligns to the district's goals as far as math and literacy, and they are able to make customized family engagement strategies and plans to help the parents support their children. They also help find the gaps in what parents and families may need so that we can help connect resources to, again, help support the whole child. One of our signature things as far as Check-in Connect, over 17,000 calls made directly to families just to check in and see how they're doing, if they need any additional resources. Calling them to let them know their child may honor roll or part of our TAG program, so that every interaction that they have with families and calls that they receive isn't because their student is behaving a particular way. It can be for good things as well. And again, all of these things are research-based and aligned to support and elevate student achievement. Again, some of our signature events that, again, align with district data. Family Game Night. Family Game Night we had as a pilot last year at several schools throughout the district, an incredible event. Some of you here participated in that. And what we did is the district has one of its target is math, and it's to strengthen math proficiency by 8.75% by 2028. So we have that information, we overlap it with where the schools are, and then we deploy specific math games working with those buildings to give students and parents the resources they need and basically the reminders on how to do some of these strategies to help their students advance. I have one hilarious story where I am very good at math, so I thought, and I decided I'm going to help my son with his math so he can get an A on his test. Got a D. And what he did was he put his... That was her, not me. He put his arm on my shoulder and said, "Don't worry, Mom, you'll get it next time." I said, okay. So there's, since most parents have not been in school for, at least a decade, some of the answers were right, but all the show your work was wrong. So we want to make sure that we reduce as many barriers as possible and give parents just a refresher so when their kids come home, they're able to help and support them. Another strategy that we use is a Lunch and Learn series. The Lunch and Learn series is a monthly event, and it's online where, again, we're looking at the information that we get from the buildings, we look at the information we get from customer relations, and we look at the information that we get at our family ambassadors and create a customized plan to give the parents the information that they seek or need. This upcoming year, we're doing that strategy once a month. And then every quarter, we will have a weekly series on whatever topics that are trending in the district. Last year, we had topics around mental health. We had topics around navigating special education and things of that sort. Last year, we also launched Family University, which we're calling FAMU. That's a little plug there. And those are different types of events, again, throughout the district, mainly targeted to those building-specific goals. And we have regional and also district-wide FAMU events. And again, our transition fair is to help families navigate special education. At that particular event, we had over 1,000 attendees there. So all of these things align with the data, align with what the district's goals are, and then what those buildings, the micro-level building goals to, again, advance student achievement by supporting the nucleus that feeds the child. Community engagement. Community engagement, again, addresses the third tier residents, those over 900,000 residents that maybe do not have a child directly in the district, do not have a relative in the district, but again, their tax dollars are going to support our students. With their vote, they can change the way we operate. So it is imperative that we show them where their tax dollars is going so they can know that this is a strong investment that they're making in Columbus City Schools. Some of our signature events that we did last year, we did a Listen Up, student-driven community conversation, which I do have a draft of that report, which you will be receiving at a later meeting because I just got the draft last week. And that focuses on the high schools. And we went to the high schools and did focus group conversations with community members and students to ask them a very simple question. Does school and community culture and climate affect student achievement? And the feedback we got was phenomenal. And I look forward to you all engaging in reading that. Another one of our signature events that we started last year and we're looking to continue is getting out into the community. The Right to Read workshop and screening we had with our early childhood literacy department reached out to child care centers in the city. What we learned was kids aren't necessarily coming to kindergarten ready. So what we have strived to do is to take our early childhood program and our literacy program and work with child care centers just to give them tools, tips. Here's where the data is. This is what we would love for you to implement into your program to make sure that the next generation that comes to Columbus City Schools as kindergartens are ready to take flight and soar. Another initiative that we have reached out and going across departments, again, not only closing the belief gap, but closing the achievement gap, is a bilingual literacy collaboration program with our ESL department. And that is in your packets as well. Books like this that we have worked with our ESL department to help fund allows multiple generations to take part in literacy. So we've gotten tremendous feedback from that. But we have books that are in Pashto, Nepali, Arabic, where you have grandparents able to sit down with their child, with their grandchild and read. The child can read to them and learn in English while they see it in their native language and have that exchange. That's gone really well. Last year was the first time that we worked with our ESL department, and that's something we're looking to continue. That not only touches some of those attributes of building global empathy, creating a welcoming environment for all. So we're really looking forward to that. And something that you will see in the very, very near future, I'll knock on wood because there was a tornado and they lost power. So we have our Legacy Lights campaign. The Legacy Lights campaign is an initiative that places on pole banners, highlights the achievements of students and celebrates the legacy of our high schools. The first location that will receive that, because it has gone completely through the permitting process, is Fort Hays. So throughout the campus of Fort Hays, you will see their mission and vision reinforced. You will see banners around the campus that not only identify the buildings, but affirming messages, and then the achievements of the teaching staff, Grammy Award-winning, Emmy Award-winning staff, things of that nature. Again, with our community engagement, we really take a marketing and communications lens to our work. So within that, in trying to connect with families, we have in-person events, we have virtual events, we have shows, Faces, our family and community engagement series. Again, taking that information, if a parent or a community member can't come, we have it, a show, a 30-minute show on Facebook and YouTube. On the second, which is today, but on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. What's unique about this award-winning series, we won a national and a statewide award for Faces, is that we have a live Q&A component on Facebook. So whatever that topic is for that show, the expert that was on the show, from mental health to Nationwide Children's Hospital, they're on live, able to answer questions as they come in. So that has been highly successful. We also have our e-newsletter, Partnership Matters, and then a product that came out the year prior is the District at a Glance. The District at a Glance, and all of this again is in your packet. The District at a Glance gives a summary of the achievement and the work of Columbus City Schools, that when we're out talking to partners, we're able to share, again, with people who may not have that direct connection to Columbus City Schools, but still is looking to not only give back to the community and be a part of the community, but we're really focused on having them invest in the community. The Columbus City School is a strong investment and not just an opportunity for charitable contributions. These are some of the proactive partnerships that we have connected with. Building and Zoning has one of the most robust partnerships where they have worked with students from Fort Hays in an internship program and an apprenticeship program. And what the incredible staff at the Building and Zoning, they wanted to connect with these students to show them all the job opportunities from being inspectors and, you know, all the opportunities within zoning. The kids did so well and they were so impressed that they lobbied the state to create an apprenticeship program. We're now in our second year. The second cohort has begun. One of the students, upon graduation, is now working at Building and Zoning. He's in an intensive program, and he's making, I believe it's $28.62 an hour as a 19-year-old. This program, we hope to duplicate throughout the city of Columbus and with some of our partners, where our juniors and seniors can have real-world experience and programs and development. So when they graduate, kind of similar to what the Department of Education is doing, having that workforce component upon graduation. And these are partnerships that we proactively pitched and worked together to create as something unique for Columbus City Schools. And I would like to show you briefly a video of a partnership that we created with Dreams on Horseback. They're with Trevor Elementary and looking to expand to Cedarwood Elementary School. Thank you. If we can get the sound a little louder. Well, if we're not able to hear it, we have this partnership with Dreams on Horseback. It combines social emotional learning with...
The U.S. Surgeon General shared that before the pandemic, 1 in 5 kids struggled with mental health challenges. However, after the isolations and precautions taken during the pandemic,
Mr. Brown,
schools
can we
are
start
really
it over with
looking
the
for
sound?
additional collaboration.
Dreams on Horseback help students who have encountered trauma. It helps with the social skill, emotional development, build self-awareness.
For kids who didn't have a strong foundation of social interaction prior to the pandemic, that's even more critical.
It allows students to go outside the norm. It's learning without walls.
The U.S. Surgeon General shared that before the pandemic, 1 in 5 kids struggled with mental health challenges. However, after the isolations and precautions taken during the pandemic, schools are really looking for additional collaboration with partners in the community in order to try to help get kids back on the right track.
When I first came here, I was nervous. I was like, I don't know what the horse is gonna look like. I don't know what they're gonna do and how tall they are and stuff. And then when I got to see them, I was comfortable towards them. And every time they come close to me, I'm not really scared as much anymore.
Well, we're trying to have them step out of their comfort zone, experience something new. Most of these kids have never been on a farm, touched a horse, and they start from having maybe some anxiety or having some nervous feelings about that and how to get through that with your group of friends. And they can kind of work through some of those processes and realize, you know, maybe there's ways to think outside the box.
I love the confidence I've seen in these kids.
Horses and people eat the same thing. Like, she eats applesauce, I eat applesauce, she eats peppermints, I eat peppermints.
Students can use the skills that they're learning, like empathy, perseverance, self-confidence, self-responsibility, respect.
And so you might see students naming obstacles they've set up in an arena, like making friends or getting my homework done or not getting sent to the principal's office. And then they have to lead a horse through that obstacle course. And then they're willing to talk about, okay, well, what do you do when you get frustrated with not getting your homework done? And then they're willing to talk about some of those challenges as they're trying to walk the horse through the obstacle course. It's a great opportunity for conversation.
Smiles, like you see big smiles.
We actually have more than tripled our school programming. We're probably working with about 400 kids every single week.
You see students overcoming fears and how they've done that in such a short period of time, and the students can communicate that for themselves. You know that you're on to something that's winning.
So again, in engagement, we bring learning to life, and we work really hard to find creative ways so students can see more than the concrete jungle outside of their doors. We try to bring the world as close to them and as touchable as possible. So for 2024-25 school year, again, we are looking to expand and build global capacity. In your package, you see our strategic plan, so we're looking to implement that. We're looking to expand, creating a warm, welcoming environment for all, and a new pilot, again, working with our ESL department that we have launched to much roaring applause, is Pocket Talk translators, so that when people come to our schools, we've purchased over 200. So if the board is able to fund more, it would be so each one of our schools will have one Pocket Talk device at the front desk. We will also have it here in customer relations, and we will have it at several of our departments. And our buses, several routes, we have earmarked 10 that has the highest number of English as second language students on the bus. Will have the translators there. The translators serve as a temporary stopgap so that when parents come in to an event or to the school to have questions, we are able to serve them immediately and at least have enough of a conversation until we can get a translator there. We have been piloting this at Central Enrollment. They absolutely loved it. We had a training, our incredible ESL team with Michael Sain and Myra Talley. They had a training with all of the building secretaries to roaring applause. So this is the first time we're expanding this out, and we believe it could possibly be a game changer for parent-teacher conferences. We have, again, one at each building, schools with a higher level of English as second language. Families and speakers will have multiple devices, along with our bilingual engagement liaisons, who we call BELLs. This does not replace them in any way, shape, form, or fashion, as it is a device, so there's some limited nuances, but we do have 80 languages on this device. This year, we launched our Welcome Back initiative. The Welcome Back initiative, we have our family ambassadors, our family engagement team, partnering with our attendance initiative. So students that are moderately chronic absent, we have targeted them this year. So our family liaisons, our family ambassadors are giving them a call to remind them that, with the key district messages of it's important to come to school, learn every day. Your transportation information is all online in parent portal, so it is vital that you update this information. After they receive that call, they actually get a chase mailer as well. These are not only translated in our top 6 languages, our bilingual engagement liaisons are drilling down even deeper because the students that are moderately chronic absent do not necessarily coincide with our top languages. The postcards in English and our top languages have already gone out. Over 7,000 postcards have gone out as that reminder of the first day of school, along with the QR code for updating parent portal, because that is how your transportation routes, and that's what those are based off on. And again, our big signature event of the year. We're so excited for the 3rd year. Our back to school fair is August 17th. I invite you all to please come out, join the festivities. This is our 3rd year. Our first year, we planned on 2,000 and we had 7,200. Our second year, we had over 10,000. So we will really enjoy having around 10,000 again. We have over 15,000 people register for that. We have some incredible community partners truly anchoring this event. NBC4 supplies over 6,000 backpacks. Columbia Gas is one of our anchor sponsors. This year we sold sponsorship packages, and they're one of our anchor sponsors on that. We have our sports physicals, immunizations from Nationwide Children's Hospital, over 120 vendors, dozens of district departments. We're giving out school supplies, backpacks from 10 to 2. It is just a joyous and completely fun event, and it keeps growing. This year, we have tents in the middle of Jack Gills because we shut all that down. Really thankful to the city and CPD for working with us to make sure that this is an incredible, safe event. So we would love to have you out there.
Okay. Are there any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Chair Cole. Well, thank you, Ms. Cole. This was really, I learned a lot even. You think you know stuff, and then you sit in these meetings, you're like, okay, I don't know as much. I had a couple questions. In terms of the customer relations, you mentioned one individual processes a little over 3,000 calls. Do we anticipate or envision expanding that department or that position? Just trying to get clarity around one person, the only person that sounds like that's managing the fact line. Am I correct in understanding
Yes. Fact line has been one person for, I believe, almost 30 years.
Wow.
So I don't think we would love for it to be expanded, but fact line has been one person for about 30 years, Ms. Barbary.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And then my next question is in regards to the Lunch and Learn series, which I think is fantastic. Wanting to get an understanding, when people register, is there an option for language translation services? Is that an option for the Lunch and Learns?
We have that through the closed caption.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then my other question was in regards to the partnerships, which sound amazing. How do, if individuals have an interest in becoming a partner, what is the process for becoming a partner of the district? And if
So
people wanted
you
to-
would contact our office, CCS Partners at columbus.k12.oh.us, or you can come through school. We have a conversation with you, look at what your program is, try to match you with the appropriate school, or, if it's a district-wide or regional event, we enter you in the partnership registry, and then depending on each case-by-case basis, whether it's a contract, then it goes up to legal and that route, or whether it's smaller and school-based, but there's different veins, but contacting the Office of Engagement, and we'd love to work with you.
Perfect. And is that application just like any time throughout the year, or is there a period of time folks have to apply by?
No, anytime during the year.
Perfect, thank you. And then my last question is in regards to the communication tool, which I'm also very excited about. You mentioned we got around 200 devices. What do you by chance know what the investment was, like the fiscal investment for those devices? And that way we just have an idea as to like what are we looking if we decide to expand.
They're $238.99 each.
$238.99 each? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And they worked with us on the package, the audio package that came with that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That is, that entire program will be managed out of our SEL department. We went in together. Our department bought half, and they bought half. They'll manage that, and there'll be like a library system for buildings to check it out. And yeah, we're testing that. We want to see how buildings use it for parent-teacher conferences. And we're going to do a pilot in two classrooms to see students who are truly English is a second language that has very limited English. We'll have headphones, and we'll be able to hear the lesson in that language. So they're putting together that program now, and I believe that we have identified global and world language. And just because of the number of devices, just depending on what particular class, we'll have the details for that worked out once the students arrive.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions? Yes, Ms. Barnes.
I didn't really have a question, but I want to thank you for the Family Ambassador Program and the Attendance Coordinator Program. You don't know what being in the community is kind of hard to get into a school, because first of all, you have to go directly to the principal, who is always busy.
Yeah.
And that Family Ambassador Program has opened the doors to us. That's that one person that's going like, yeah, we want to talk to you. We want you to help us. And so one of my questions is, do they receive funding for their budgets? Because on the east side, we raise money for them. We go out for grants. And in fact, right now we're in a grant part of our year to raise money for the family ambassadors in our area. But do they have budgets?
No, they do not have budgets out of our department. The school has an engagement budget, which I believe is 1 or 10%, I apologize for not knowing exactly, of the school's, that particular school's budget. So it doesn't come out of engagement. It comes directly from that school.
Okay. Well, we're trying to partnership with the one we're working with right now is Lindy Honda. The Lindy Honda Family Foundation is giving out grants from $1,000 to $5,000 per school. And they want to connect churches and schools together. So I think that's where we would like to emphasize is how can we get these partnerships with people that, well, frankly, have money, that, $5,000 is nothing to them, but it means a lot to our family ambassadors. And we've seen a great increase on the east side of activities, engagement, the student statistics in terms of attendance and disciplinary actions. All that has decreased since that's happened with us. So thank you for that program.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Mr. Jenkins.
First of all, I love
the whole PowerPoint. I had a question in regards to the portrait of a graduate.
Yes.
So is that something that the school keeps track of for each student, or is that something that is for like the counselors, or how does a student know their growth?
I can't specifically answer how they know their growth as far as the portrait of a graduate attributes.
Okay.
They have their grades. We have things such as seals upon when they graduate. They have, their PBIS, the positive behavior interventions and things of that nature. I don't believe we keep a score. Okay. But what we do as engagement is when we bring in partners and we bring in activities that align to the academic data, the portrait of a graduate overlaps that. And those are the characteristics we would like our students to have. So I don't believe we have a metric for a specific characteristic beyond the positive student behaviors.
If I can just chime in on that too, and thank you. I think that she's encapsulated probably about 60% of what all of that entails. At the end of the day, Portrait of a Graduate was a community design. So we went out to the community and talked to them and said, what is it about our children that you'd ideally like to see? And they came up with 6 characteristics, right? And this is a national movement. So any number of cities throughout the country leverage this model to identify a core of guiding principles and characteristics for kids. For us, it works in the ways alluded to, but it also works through adult modeling. See, we have a governance model called Student Outcomes Focused Governance. Put all that SOFG off to the side, right? But our motto is student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. This is the opportunity to not only provide kids what they need, but provide the adults what they need to demonstrate, to behave the characteristics of adaptability, of communication, of global empathy. And one of the ways in which that's done on a school building basis is right in the classroom. So our curriculum is actually designed in many different ways around creating these kind of open door opportunities for kids and experiences. And that's one of the ways in which we actually get to see that and grow that. We have other engagement opportunities and partnerships with the city, or Washington won an award from them, the city.
20 under 20?
No. They're a partnership with the Rotary.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So the Rotary has Service Above Self, thank you. Service Above Self is just one example of a myriad of those types of opportunities that students get to actually engage creatively, create projects, design data around the projects in terms of impact and outcome, and then share it. So that's just one way in which we show adaptability, global empathy, that kind of thing. So yeah, awesome question. Thank you for that, yes. Anyone else? Yes.
It's not really a question. I just wanted to, again, thank you for this presentation. It was great. And I also want to really commend you on thinking outside of the box and helping the ESL families and limited language proficient families in our community. As we grow, it's going to get heavier and heavier. And as Board Member Cole was saying, we have to change adults. And by providing these resources to children, they're going to really be able to communicate more with the adults and their families, the lessons that they're learning on not only being a supportive community member, but also any educational things in reading and writing and to get those families more involved in our community. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. And again, so before we close out, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes, sir. Excuse me.
No problem. But Chair Cole mentioned that one of the legislative platforms or priorities is around funding and sustainability. Mm-hmm. And so with the decrease or the drying up of those ESSER funds, how does that impact the work that Community Engagement Office can do, would like to continue to do, And kind of just where are we with that?
It's definitely being creative. But for example, the back-to-school fair, we sold sponsorship packages. This year was the first year that we've ever done that, and we funded that about 80%. We're still getting more coming in. We have launched this past year a school spirit wear campaign. The first year, was a learning process, but with that, working with the treasurer's office and one of the vendors created a customized tiered strategy for us. So we in-house design shirts. We have an incredible graphic designer. Her name is Allie Wade. Where she designed search, and we targeted for the high schools. So the high schools sold spirit wear. You'll see that initiative greater this upcoming year, where they're able to receive all of the profit from those sales. The part of that initiative that aligns with not only Portrait Undergraduate, but the district goals is it allows us to build community pride and again close that belief gap. So everything that we do, we're saying how many times can we get that dollar to circulate the community before it whips out. So the school spirit wear, the funds raised by that goes directly into the principal's fund. The percentage of that fund then goes to the family ambassador and that individualized community engagement strategy and plan there. When we go out and we seek partnerships, we are looking for partners that invest in us. So again, that mutual win-win factor, so that it meets a need on your end, and then it also meets a need on our end, because we, as engagement and as a district, we can't remain in the charitable space. We really have to show where you are investing your the research and development dollars, and you're investing it in Columbus City Schools, and not only idea capital, but human capital, but where can we work together on our facilities to help solve some other issues. So really thinking creatively, bringing that entrepreneurial spirit into the district and the program to make it so that we're earning dollars as well. And lastly, the generosity of our community. So with the passage of the levy, they were able to uplift and sustain the Family Ambassador Program, which is why we're so laser focused on showing the entire community return on the investment so they can continue to invest in us as well.
I'd like to add something real quick to that as well. There's a lot of partnership that happens between our spaces, and we think about at the state level, the Department of Education is now the Department of Education and Workforce, and that has really opened the door to a lot of businesses across our state that have wanted to take part in education but really didn't know how to do that and how to connect. And so truly, like, our doors are open at this point, and we're working with those local businesses. We're working with national companies. We've got some Fortune 500 businesses here in Central Ohio. Obviously, Intel is coming. And so a lot of these partnerships are truly moving in that direction of no longer charitable of, oh, here's $5,000 there or $5,000 to this school, to that school, but they're really becoming investment opportunities where the businesses can co-create a program with a school, with the district, where not only are they helping to fund something where we may not have another sustainable funding source, but in the end, they're going to have real ROI because they have a ready workforce. And so it's been really fun this past year to see that happening more and more, and we've seen that grow. Our businesses are also becoming more educated in the lack of funding for public schools, and so I think we're going to see them advocating side by side with us for those funding sources at the State House, but then also digging into their pockets to understand, well, if the state isn't going to fund public schools, then we need to be a partner there because we all know our birth rates are down, right? We hear all those things of we're going to have more jobs, but not enough people with not a qualified workforce. Our business partners are really stepping up into that space. And so it's going to be really interesting to see the kind of funding source that our business partners become over the next, 5 to 20 years.
So, go ahead.
Especially if the students are at the center of those decisions and not just businesses looking to find labor in order to continue their business, but it's really a community need.
That's right.
That they're feeling.
Yeah.
No, but I think you've illustrated very clearly the macro ways in which we're leveraging those types of opportunities and growth for sustainability, but at the same time, the very macro way. She very humbly said, the kindness of the community. It is the kindness of the community that passed the operating levy and a permanent improvement levy that have provided us the resources and that have helped set the stage for today and the future, and how we leverage our assets in a way that helps solve community challenges and problems. This is how we're trying to be forward-thinking in that space. There are other committees working right now that are preparing to have these set of conversations. One of them taking place tomorrow, right here in this space, and I'll be there for that. But thank you so much for your presentation. I really greatly appreciate from both of you seeing the combination, one, the Civics 101 lesson. And I don't say that playfully. It sounds like, but I say that in all seriousness because a lot of people really don't understand not only how government works, but how she very clearly alluded to how it's changed. This transformation of term limits didn't happen until the turn of the century. Actually happened during the turn of the century, during, I want to say it was Ted Strickland. Yeah. Ted Strickland's administration, when this term limit piece was introduced into the General Assembly. I was there at a time where that didn't exist. So when you're thinking about not only just how government works, but how it's changing, I think it's important to have that kind of conversation at the table here with brilliant minds like yours to strategize around that. I greatly appreciate seeing the combination of technology into helping strengthen communication within our district in vulnerable populations, like our multilingual. Many of you don't know that we speak well over 100 languages in this school district. Wow. Well over 100. So with all of that in mind, I thank each and every one of you for that. And again, I want to re-invite you to this weekend's back to school fair. If you all want to volunteer and just do something, get up in the morning and hug some kids and shake some hands with families, you are more than welcome to attend. It's from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Fort Hayes, so please make sure you come. And final, you heard Lee talk about the butterfly piece, this piece that is the partnership between Harvard and Scholastic, because I know that you all are brilliant minds, and I know that you all are committed people who came here to provide your best idea capital, put your passion to work. I'd like to offer you all the opportunity to earn a certification in family engagement, in community engagement from Harvard University. We are part of a curriculum. We use this curriculum and are going to make it accessible to this committee, to this working group here. It is something that is a module design. I believe there might be about 7 modules. Within them, it's all self-paced. But what I'd like the opportunity to do is to engage this. If folks are interested, it's not forced. If you don't want to do it or you don't have the time to do it, I understand. But what I'd like to do is incorporate this into our professional development work, our growth work with this committee. I think more succinctly, I'll say our growth work with this committee. So if you would, feel free to share your information if you're interested. Reach out to Carl Williams. Yeah. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's the glasses. I'm Mr. Magoo up in here, so forgive me. Reach out to Carl, let him know, and then he'll do the work necessary to make sure that Lee is able to sign you guys up and give you access to the keys to get into that program and get it started. Now, when we get it started, I'm asking for us to do 2 modules a month. Okay. 2 modules a month. The goal here is to be done by January of 2025, to be complete by January of 2025. There's going to be opportunity for engagement between the end of this month and the end of next month. to actually talk about it. And you'll not only engage as a committee, but also with the family ambassadors who are doing the work. So now you get the opportunity to have real dialogue and have your hands in the soil as much as they do. Yeah. The Cole family are green thumbs, even growing watermelon in the backyard. Now, I'm just responsible for watering things, but the whole point I'm trying to make is that it's all about the idea of just getting our hands in the soil, okay? So I want to make sure that this opportunity is open to you all. I really hope that you take it. It's a wonderful experience, and albeit I can't get you to Harvard, I can get you something from Harvard. All right. Are there any questions at this point? Any closing thoughts? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair Cole. And I'm really excited to be able to partner alongside of each of you. We have some big work ahead of us. We recognize that the reason the board selected, so as you may or may not know, this is the first year that we have 4 completely new committee structures. And, you know, we spent some time evaluating what those structures needed to be, the scope, the why behind the scope, and recognizing that community engagement and advocacy are 2 really big layers that we want to continue to improve upon, expand upon, and have real conversations to ensure that we are putting our students at the forefront, and that we're ensuring that we as community members are working together to solve a lot of the issues and opportunities. It's not always an issue either, right? There's a lot of opportunity that we can collaborate. And one of the things that I have appointed and asked co-chair support in is working alongside of this committee and a few other committees to map out our plan for our facilities task force community engagement. And so Chair Cole and I will be working together to bring alongside of Ms. Lee Cole some preliminary ideas as to what that engagement is going to look like. And we want to be able to have those conversations with you all first, in addition to some outside partners, because we recognize that that is a part of the work that we're also talking about. And so know that, you know, that work is to come, and certainly we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to weigh in and to guide and provide some recommendations as we come back to our full body to be able to have those conversations and then ultimately roll out next steps. So I did want to put that on your radar because that is something that we are actively working on to then bring back to you all, hopefully by that September 10th meeting. To be able to start having some of those next steps conversations.
Absolutely. And once you guys have let Carl know, so I want you to turn around that as quickly as you can. Once you've let him know that you're interested in the Harvard Scholastic piece, he'll follow. We'll make sure we follow up with you on the available dates for discussion for end of August and end of September with family engagement on those.
The family engagement will start in September.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome sauce. All right. If there's not anything else, is there a motion to adjourn?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any nays? If there aren't, motion passes. All right. Thank you all. I look forward to seeing you next month, God willing, inshallah, if I'm here. But I look forward to working with you all. This is going to be a great year, everybody. This is going to be a great year.